What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the In the Round podcast as I watch our good buddy Mitch Wallace try to deep throat an SM7B over there. My name is Matt Burrill. Today we've got a really cool episode, something very different. Files is like a hybrid episode. It's kind of like the industry series, but also our man is an artist and just put out a new single. It's our buddy Matt Wallace, a.k.a. A Nashville Manager, a.k.a. Money Matt, a.k.a. Still Matthews, just put out a new song called 12 Steps that y'all should check out because it is fucking fire. And we talk about the music industry. We talk about acts that he used to work with in the country realm, such as Muscadine Bloodline, Riley Green, Luke Combs, Taylor Ray Holbrook, just to name a few, and how he met the guy that he has been working the closest with over the last few years, a guy by the name of Jelly Roll. So really cool conversation where we talk about a little bit of everything, get his backstory, and hope you guys enjoy it. Quickly, got to tell you about our sponsors, Whaletale Media. Wales and his crew over there, they are the best in the business. So y'all make sure to check them out. They do all of our graphics, a lot of our visual stuff, and you can always find Wales at the Writers' Rounds every other Tuesday night over there at Live Oak. Hit them up, whaletale.com, whale-tail.com. Saxman Studios, Grady and his boys got a really cool shout out in this one from Matt Wallace. Be sure you check them out. If you're looking for a place to record, it's cool. So many new artists here in town come up to me and be like, dude, we're working with Grady. Dude, we're working with Grady. It's like, as you should be. Grady is the shit. We like keeping him busy. Y'all be sure to hit them up, Saxman Studios. Our man Mitch Wallace, who was just getting it on with a SM7B over there, one of these guys. You can look him up at Wallace Mitch on Instagram. Mitch is a content guru. He has been crushing the game. And if you need any help, TikTok, Instagram, social media, whether you're in music or just have a business out there, hit him up. He will help you. And last but certainly not least, our friends in the green world, Trailside CBD Emporium, Delta 8, Delta 8, Delta 8. Shit gets you high. It is legal, and you can save 20% with promo code ITR. So let's get into the episode with Money Matt Wallace. Bro, how the fuck you doing today?
How the fuck you doing, bro?
I think we're both doing pretty good, man. I think we're both doing good. How many years you got sober now from booze? California sober, like I am.
Like from booze, like I still drink a little bit on occasion on the road. Yeah. More smoker, but like 9 years sober from cocaine addiction.
Let's go.
So like that was really the trap in my life, you know, like I never really got too bad into pills. You know, we grew up in an environment where like pills tend to be a gateway drug, you know, but like for me it was cocaine, and in a weird way it's like the pharmaceutical industry and itself traps us, right? Like so like from a young age I was ADD.
Yeah,
right. So
same.
They start you on what Adderall or Ritalin or
I was Concerta 54 milligrams.
Yes, there you go. Like so like you kind of get tricked. I don't know what age you were when you started, but it was like I was addicted to stimulants before I even really knew what being addicted could have meant, or like what drugs really even like were, because you know you're 8 years old getting Adderall because you're a little bit rambunctious or something, you know, rowdy, like so whatever. So like it was kind of like a trap, and then you know like fast forward life and like all the shit that happened, I just you know fell into that path of daily battling cocaine, you know, and it was a bad drug for me because it was a drug I was functional on. Yeah. Like there's a lot of times where, you know, people are like, oh, well, it's apparent. Like with alcohol, it's more apparent when I'm, you know, drinking. Cause like, you know, I'm big, jolly, fucking goofy ass drunk, you know, like, but like with cocaine, you didn't know.
So 12 Steps, new song, which fucking slaps, by the way, bro. Big fan, man, and happy to see it out there doing what it's doing. 12 Steps, is that more about your battle with the snow than it is?
No, 100%. You know, like me and Young Wicked's on verse 2. James Garcia now, I forget, he's kind of gone through the name change recently, but yeah, my boy James Garcia hopped on verse 2. We were on the Jelly Roll tour together, both opening up, and yeah, we just had a great time. And I was like, yo man, I know he's battled through alcohol addiction, and so now he's sober from alcohol for probably like a good, I think 3 or 4 years. So for him it was like a really cool thing to get on the song with me, you know, speaking about my problem, and then you know him having that relatability. So like really it's for anybody that's ever been in a rehab situation or felt like they kept relapsing, you know, like sobriety is a tough thing when you start like so many times and you fail and you start and you fail and you start and you fail. And I think for so many people, there's never an end to that.
Yeah.
Like it's a constant battle their whole life. But, like you really can, if you figure out, what it is that makes you work in life, or what it is that you can channel your energy into to where you don't have enough time for this anymore. I think that was where, like I learned, hey, this is the person I want to be, and cocaine prevents me from being that person.
That's how I felt with the booze, man. I got clean. It's coming up on 6 years. So I was like 21. Wow. So, and again, being in college, but being in this town, like, and whether it's booze, whether it's coke, whether it's pills, they have it all here. And in this music game, in this music industry, that 9 years off the coke, man, that's huge. That's big. That's a big deal, man.
Well, it's crazy because like we still live in a state where they alienate us sometimes for smoking weed, which is ridiculous.
Yes,
but like,
agreed.
There's however many states that are medically legal now. I think it's over 30. I think over like 2/3 of
and how many are recreationally legal? Like,
yeah,
that's a
it's
ton
like
too.
we're getting to a place where obviously, clearly, there's some benefit to this. There's some economic benefit to it. So the fact that you can go readily get access to opiates. I mean, we're exposed at a young age. You get your wisdom teeth taken out. They give you some kind of opiate to get over it. So from a young age, you're battling these things that you don't really even know you're up against sometimes, because you're just doing what a doctor tells you to. Yeah. And then you're like, well, shit, this is what makes me feel normal. I need this. I need this. I need this. Or you create dependency. And like, that's the trap that life is.
100%.
I mean, whether it's fast food, whether it's it is, in some form or fashion, it's tough not to have dependency, like, I mean, still to this day, I probably drink way too much coffee, like I'm probably addicted in some form or fashion to damn, like stimulants still, and always will be because, like of a trap that I fell into at a young age. So that was really the song 12 Steps. When we put that out together, me and James Garcia, we were just like, damn, this is the song that I hope someone hears this and they feel the same way that we did, and it helps them get to where we are now.
Bro, I was over here like nodding, like, bro, I feel that, you know, and I'm somebody who hasn't been to a meeting in a long time. Like I've been good about it because I got cleaned up before I moved here. Yeah. So it would be a little bit of a different situation, but like there were lines in the verses and all that, man, that related. So I had to talk to you about. So it's funny, like when somebody brings you up, like your name, Matt Wallace, then you go Money Matt, and then Still Matthews. Like you've got all these different things going at once. So I kind of want to back up. What brought you here to Nashville? Like how'd you end up in this city, and when did you get here?
Yeah, so I was 16 years old, right, and living in Chattanooga. It was great place to grow up, honestly. My mom and my dad got divorced, right, and then like 3 out of 4 of my grandparents died all in a year. Wow. My brother got arrested.
Tough shit. Yeah, that's a tough
was
stretch.
Just like a real, moment in my life for like a sophomore, that felt like he had everything going for him. So I'm like 16 years old. I get my car. I've had my car like maybe a month. And for whatever reason, I'm doing 95 and I jerk it left into the side of Signal Mountain where I grew up.
Fuck.
Was wearing no seatbelt, did 3 barrel rolls, and like woke up and was just in the back seat of the car and had like a cut on my head, and like my finger was all jammed up, but like crawled out of the car, like jumped out of the thing, like walked like half a mile down the road till I saw someone drive by, like I was kind of on the backside of the mountain in the middle of nowhere. And this dude fucking like wouldn't even let me in his car, but he was like, yo, man, you got to like follow me to my house. It's right around the corner, dude. If you can walk just a little bit, like we're almost there. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So like they threw me in an ambulance, and, like I tried to kill myself, dog. Like there was no doubt about it in my mind, but it didn't work. And so like, I think in that moment, you're 16 years old. You're like, fuck, man, nothing was working before that. Nothing was working after that. And like, it was just a downward spiral that year. Like I was always a smart kid. Like I had a high IQ. Like I knew it. Like, like I was a little bit of a, pinball machine sometimes, but I knew I was a capable test taker. I was a capable whatever. So I didn't like drop out because school was tough. I just dropped out because life was tough. Yeah. Right. And so, like fast forward, I decided like, yo, my parents divorced. My dad moved to somewhere called Lebanon, Tennessee, which is like what, 45 minutes.
Home of cahoots, and we've had some good times in Lebanon.
Yeah.
That's a good little spot.
Home of Haystack, you know, and like, you know, a few other things, but like for all intents and purposes, and I say it because I spent a lot of my life there, and my dad's from there. My grandparents owned the newspaper in the Lebanon until they sold it, the Lebanon Democrat, and it's white trash America, y'all.
Yeah, man. It's living in Tennessee, not in one of the big cities, not in Memphis, Jackson, Knoxville, or Nashville.
Yeah. It's nothing like Nashville.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's outside the city limits.
Yeah, and living in Lebanon, like I didn't really come to Nashville for probably the first 3 years I lived in Lebanon. You know, like there was really no reason for me to. You know, like, you know, I ended up, you know, after I dropped out of high school. You know, we'll fast forward to where this is going, but like, you know, like I ended up, you know, in a position to where I went to MTSU and I was in Murfreesboro. So I was really Rutherford County, Wilson County, and, you know, going back home to Chattanooga to see my old friends more than I was in Davidson County. So, you know, like it was kind of a crazy thing. So Lebanon's like white trash America though, right? And then the other converse like side of Lebanon is what you have is like that there's still the projects there. Like, so Lebanon will never be Mount Juliet. It'll never be Franklin. Even though if you back up, like when my dad, you know, and grandparents were there, like it could have been Franklin, but the difference is like, I mean, like you look at a geography, you look at like its proximity to lakes and all these other features that like seem benefit, like the fact that it has a mass transit system through railroad, like Lebanon really should have popped, but there's still the projects. It's still white trash America. It's still blue collar factories. It's still where Royal Canine dog food gets made.
Yeah.
It's still like that's Lebanon.
Isn't there a racetrack out there too?
Yeah, the super speedways out there. So like, it's like, that's the culture, you know, like there's that dude that like loves Luke Combs. And then there's that dude that was like bumping G Unit or bumping Lil White, you know, like, or bumping 3-6 Mafia, you know, like Memphis rap. And it was like, it was just this eclectic kind of like mixing of white trash and like Southern rap hip hop culture.
How did that rub off on you being there for 3 years? Because you go through that accident and you said you come up here, like that's that second chance moment. Like you live in a so your mind's different after something like that.
Yeah, so it's different. So like when I moved to Lebanon, like I'd always played in bands and shit. I was a rocker, you know. I played guitar. I played a bass guitar. I sang backup vocals, you know, like. I had a sick band in Chattanooga. We opened for, you know, like a couple of little local bands, like, and it was cool. My brother was our manager. Like we had this thing. So I'd kind of been doing the little thing because my brother was, you know, he turned 18 when I was 14, and I had that band when I was 14. It was called High Level Stress. It was this punk band I was in, right? And I played bass and sang backup vocals. My dude Spencer, who now is on Broadway, of all things, is like motherfucking, was the most insane, like high, like Blink-182 type singer ever.
Oh, shit.
And then we had this dude, Shane Woods, that played drums, man. And he's just like black drummer. So like just the feel in the pocket was sick. So for like, we were like this kid super punk band, right? And like Spencer had like the voice of an angel, and then I could just like growl and yell and all that shit. So like we did that, and I just like fell in love with music. So like when I left, you know, to move to Lebanon, you know, to chase a dream in music, like I really left the basis of what I knew, which was rock and punk and, you know, like indie rock. And so I moved to Nashville, or Lebanon rather, and, you know, my cousin was there. And so like I had a recording rig. I'd recorded my band's first album and shit. Like I built a computer in the 7th grade.
And what years are these in? So you
like,
say
so in seventh, so I'm 34, believe it or not. So 34 years old, Matt Wallace. So 7th grade puts me like what, like 16, I'm 2003. That would have been sophomore. So back off 1, 2, 3, 4, like 1998. I go to my dad, like 11, 12 years old. And I'm like, yo, dude, here's computer parts. And he's like, what the like, my dad's a lieutenant colonel. He just like did not understand why I was handing him computer parts. I was like, man, my birthday's coming up. Like, if you bought me these, he was like, whoa, what are you gonna do with computer parts? I was like, I'm gonna build a computer. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, Dad, it's a puzzle. There's only like 7 pieces, bro. There's like CPU, a hard drive.
Especially back
the
then.
chassis,
Yeah.
You got the memory. He's like, how do you, like, what's up? I was like, Dad, I'm just different. Just take a shot, you know?
Yeah.
Like, And I was, for some reason in my life, I was always willing to convince a person to take a shot on me. Like whether it was a job interview or whether it was a coach putting me in.
Yeah.
Like I just had something about it where I was like, all right, they'll at least give me a chance, right? So like, Dad gave me a chance. I built this computer and then I recorded my punk band that summer. And he was just like, you could tell, he was just like, how does this happen? Like, so I had this like kind of basis. I moved to Lebanon and it is not indie rock. It's not like, it's like motherfucking Tim McGraw and Southern rap, Young Buck, you know, like, so you're like, okay, I get it. Like, it's a different culture. And my cousin, like, was like, yo, bro, I'm a rapper. And I was like, all right, well, I got this rig, you know, and he came over and he spit some shit. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, you can definitely rap. Like, that's really, you know, something, you know, like, I was like, how does the music get made? You know, like I really never listened to rap in my life.
Yeah, it was
like,
something completely out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it was
at that
out of my
time.
comfort. I was like, I didn't understand the process of it because I was used to being in a rock band. Like we'd all sit in a room. Spencer would play guitar. I'd play guitar. He'd hum a melody. I'd hum a melody. We'd come up with something, and then like, thank God he was autistic as fuck, and somehow our 7th grade band was able to like sound great. I'm like, all right, dude, here's the bass. I'll record you. You play this.
Yeah.
He played the drums. He played the bass. He played the guitar. Me and Shane watched him be the band, but it was cool because I got to learn how to be an engineer.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, all right, well, I don't have to be the talented person. I just have to capture the talent.
Yeah.
You know, so there was like that mindset in me. So when my cousin was like, I can rap, I was like, okay, yeah, he can rap, but how do I get him music? So it was already that thought in my mindset. And like, this is 2003. I'm living in Lebanon. So like CDs are kind of on the way out. You know, like, I guess piracy was still a thing. Like you were still downloading.
MySpace,
We were
that
still
era.
downloading on Kazaa and LimeWire and that shit. MySpace, it just come out. Like, just come out.
And it was big in music.
I don't know if it
especially
was-
underground music.
Yeah, I don't know if it was 2002 or 2003, but that was the shuck. Like, I caught that. And I was 16 years old, so me and my cousin would just do the thing that I thought was logical, which was, I can make a record. Let's make a record. I'll go to Staples. I'll buy a big old spindle of fucking, like, whatever that shit is, blank disc, with the stickers we'll put on them. And we'll just, like, pull up at high schools when they're letting out, and $10 a CD. I had a gold Cadillac with 212s in it, and I was like, oh, I'm 16 years old. I'll fit in. I'll blend. I look like I'm supposed to be in a high school parking lot. You know, like, whatever. We'll figure it out. So we go there the first day with, like, 200 CDs. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get $10 a pop, Rocky. And he was like, I don't know, G. And I was like, watch. I got the skill. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I can sell things. Man, like, that's kind of my gift, whether it's digital, whether it's whatever. I can kind of sell.
Or selling an idea, like selling your dad, like shoot it, saying, hey, Dad, give me this shot.
I was like, it's in my blood. My granddad was a used car salesman on our other side of the family, Rocky. Like, I can sell, dude. It's just, I got it. You know what I mean? And a talent that, fast forward, like, 6 months, Rocky would later abuse in the sense of, yeah, you can sell, motherfucker. Here's a brick of cocaine. I'm gonna teach you how to do this too. So like,
he's getting you into the trap and all that.
Start of the trap, right? So like, insert hip hop and how hip hop's a real genre and some people are actually not fakes, i.e. Rocky Cox, man. Love him to death, but still can't get out of the projects, man. But so like, fast forward, you know, like we're doing our thing, we're cutting the record, we get a little buzz. I'm selling the CDs. I sell all 200 of them the first time we pop into a high school parking lot.
That's $2,000.
I'm like, man, that's 2 bands. I was like, man, we got 2 bands, bro. And he was like, yeah, dude, what are you going to do with that? And I was like, I guess buy more music equipment. And he was like, man, that's not what I would have done, but yeah, I like where your head's at. He was like, all right, so how are we going to afford all this shit you think you need? And I can't, you know, because I was at that point where I was like, I need this microphone. I was already the gear junkie.
You knew what the good shit was.
Yeah. I was ready. I was ready for it. You know, like I'd been in studios. I was fortunate enough to where the dude that taught me how to play guitar had a sick home studio because that's what he did for a living.
Oh, cool.
And so like I kind of got to see his setup and pick his brain, and he was a good mentor for me. Still talk to him. Shout out Dean DeAndrea, man. Hella good sax player, hella good guitar player. So.
Yeah, I got to ask you, so you're doing the rap thing, you're getting in the trap. I want to hear more about all that stuff, but you eventually go into country music.
Yeah.
And you're very involved in country music. There's a lot of acts in the Southeast are coming up.
Yeah, so we'll get there the super quick way then. So get this little buzz, take it to MySpace, and then fast forward, there's this little event in Lebanon, Tennessee called Slammin' and Jammin', man. They run cars up and down the strip. And this local group, they were signed to a label in town called Street Flavor Records, man, which was where Haystack was. Sonny Paradise was the guy that was really running shit over there. And me and Sonny are super cool now. So shout out Sonny, man, for all you do. And like, you know, like, I guess my cousin is a mouthy motherfucking Irish dude. It kind of runs in the family, you know. And him and Don Green got into an altercation, and they shot. Don Green pulled out a 45 and shot one of my best friends on a square Lebanon. 16 years old. So like, that was the moment in time I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna get a GED. I'm gonna figure it out. I basically like went to my dad and I was like, man, I could probably be living better than I am, Dad. I probably don't have a whole lot of direction and I don't know everything. And it was the first time where I probably admitted that to my dad, because my whole life I had known everything, even to him. He was like, well, fuck, man. You're that kid that just shows up with the idea and does it. And so I was like, yeah. So I think that was that moment where I was like, I'm gonna get a GED and go to college. And I found out MTSU had a recording industry management program. And if I could get a GED and score high enough on the ACT, it was like a 20 or something, I could get in, even though I was only like 17 years old.
So you're going to college young, too.
Yeah. I was like...
Because you're doing the GED ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, I was going what should have been like my junior year of high school. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll get a GED and
you said,
swing the bat.
Like you said, it wasn't that school was tough, it was that life was tough.
Yeah, life was tough.
You
And
had
then
the ability,
basically when I lost B-roll, life stopped. I was like, all right, man, I got to figure out a better way. Like, I'm still young enough to bounce back. I'm still young enough to recover.
Yeah.
Like, this is real hip-hop shit. This is real hood rat shit. Now, the tough thing with that is that, like, you can never untrain a craft. So the trap of the drugs, the trap of being addicted to cocaine, the trap of, the trap of long hours in the studio and feeling like I needed it to make school work, to make the things work, was a problem. So then, like, I guess I get to my senior year at MTSU and I'm like, man, I have learned nothing. I already knew how to run Pro Tools. I already knew how to run DAWs. I already knew what all the gear was. I knew what compression was. I felt like every class I took was like a fucking joke. I was like, man, all right, wait a second. Why did I major in this?
Yeah.
And so my brother was like, man, I got an idea, dude. You've always wanted to run your own business. You're really great at math. You're really good at English. So you're able to probably do things that would be a great skill set for someone who's an accountant. And he was like, Grandma was an accountant. And I was like, yeah, man, that's true. And I never have to pay a CPA. And so I was already familiar with paying a CPA because when we sold those records, I wasn't the under the table kid. I was like, man, no, I want to go be able to get a loan for a car.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, Rocky, we sold, like one year I reported on my Schedule C, like $50,000 of albums that I sold hand to hand out of the trunk of a fucking 1998 Cadillac DeVille, baby.
Damn.
Like, I was proud of that at 16 years old.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? So like, for me, I was like, man, but I knew, hey, I paid Royce Belcher in Lebanon, Tennessee, $500 that year to do my tax return. So I was like, man, well, there's at least that. But I was like, man, I could have probably saved even more money on taxes had I kept better books, had I kept a better record of my receipts and expenses and things like that. And so I think it had ingrained in me just by operating in business from such a young age that accounting was a language and a skill set that no matter what I did was going to be more valuable to me than probably anything else I could have learned.
Yeah, and it's something that we've talked about with other music professionals. And again, you're a cool, like, very different kind of case because you do the artist thing as well. And we're gonna get into that, and we already did with the new song, whatever. I'm pretty stoned. This is a good episode.
Yeah,
it's
hell
fun,
yeah,
man. I'm having a blast. It's being able to do a ton, like being able to be that multi-tool. So you're helping your buddy Sling Records. You already know how like Pro Tools and that stuff works. Now you can be an accountant. You can become Money Matt, where you're so many artists and so many bands and so many people in music forget about that side of things.
Yeah.
Like you got to keep good books. You got to keep track of all this shit.
Well, not even that. It's just like I think about decision making way different than other people. Like, anytime I have a conversation with a music business professional, I'm instantly reminded that I'm having a conversation with a music business professional, and you should scrap the word business from that. They're really just a music professional. They don't know any fucking thing about business. I've yet to meet anybody in this town that hardly knows any fucking real thing about business. Whether they're an artist manager, whether they're a record label, pretty disconnect.
That's why it gets outsourced.
Yeah.
And you
Like
have
if
your
they
business
were in
people.
trucking, they would get eaten up. If they were in software development, they would get eaten up. They wouldn't get that CEO position because they don't have the true skill set.
Yeah.
They have the skill set of relationships. And as we see that fold is why you're seeing record labels have no power anymore.
Yeah,
you
why-
know, like
why the
why you're
game's
seeing
changing.
them struggle to stay relevant. Why you're seeing them struggle to find artists that have already built a following where they wouldn't even need a record label in the first place because they've done the right things.
Yeah.
You know, like shout out to a band I worked with early in their career, Muscadine Bloodline,
Hey, that's-
who still doesn't have a fucking deal.
Yeah,
you know, like
they're actually the ones that got me into the whole touring game. That was my first gig, was their merch guy.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, man, shout out to those dudes for the years we put in together to where, like, I think Gary hit me up last week and was like, yo, bro, I just want to let you know Port Swing Angel went gold. That's a record we paid $500 for a video for that maybe they had $300 in the sound recording and, you know, a little bit of money in marketing, and it's a gold record.
Yeah.
But I can attest to you right now to this day that maybe there was less than $2,500 invested in Port Swing Angel from day one. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, is it really what it used to be? It's not. You know, and that's where I think that, you know, a lot of managers are old. They're young. They're not able to adapt to newer technologies. They're not able to stay fresh with what really works. And I think that's the biggest problem is that everybody's always looking to take somebody else's playbook. Real champions write the fucking playbook, dog. You know?
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody else's does. I don't care if the grass is greener over here. You know what? Because I trust in my own ability and I have self-confidence in what got me here.
Yeah.
So I don't need to worry about what this guy over here is doing. I don't need to worry about the score over here because the only thing that matters is the game I'm playing and nobody else is really playing that game.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's where people have got it all wrong. They're like, I saw this artist do this. I got to do that. And I'm like, man, that's not the mindset.
Put your fucking blinders on, bro. And
you need
do
to figure out what you is and do that unapologetically till the death of you and until they have to accept you, until you're so proven. Like, nobody wanted me to be successful in this town in the music business. Like, everybody stacked the deck against me. Everybody wanted to put obstacles and barriers in my way.
Was that because you came in as an outsider from the rap game
Yeah,
and all that? Yeah.
I mean, I think that's it. I think it's also because I'm not afraid to speak my mind
your blunt-
and to
your
tell
blunt
people like,
honesty,
hey,
yeah.
like, what's your experience? Tell me about this marketing initiative. Where are you really coming that from? Like, how did you really develop this plan? Here's why it's not going to work. Tell me why you think that you can make it work when there's the 20 reasons why it's not going to work.
You ask questions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was an auditor for 7 years. I
the
ran a
world.
CPA firm. I was a partner at 27 with a tax partner. I was the audit partner. We had 24 employees and 4 offices, and I let a band named Muscadine Bloodline move in my basement.
Yeah.
There aren't 27-year-old partners at CPA firms.
Yeah.
Like, that's not like a real thing. Like, my client list was so insane to where I was like, but I've seen businesses work. And it was because I know, hey, most auditors, they go in there and they're tentative. Most accountants are tentative to have conversations. I am not that human being. I can sit there with a CEO and I can ask him a question and I can pick his brain and I can talk about his revenue streams and I can talk about his operations and I can learn about his business and I can learn about what makes this business do this and why this business is going to be here.
Get that understanding.
Because it's important for me to understand my client, because if I can add value to their business and I take a foremost growth approach in the sense that every day I wake up and I want to grow myself, I want to grow my team, I want to grow my company, and I want to grow my clients. And I do that every day.
Yeah.
That's my mentality. That's a foremost growth approach.
That's the mission statement. That's what you're out here doing.
I think if everybody took that mentality, they would find that their business grows infinitely every year.
Yeah.
It's like, and it doesn't matter if you just like take that it to heart, if you live it, if you breathe it. But like, I'm telling you, if you do, it's gonna work. Like, I mean, there's 2 things that get you through in life: passion and knowledge, and neither one of those anybody can ever take away from you.
Yeah.
So stack the deck in your favor. And I think that's every artist I've ever worked with. They want to talk about barriers. And then I'm like, oh, well, no, that's not a barrier. I've got $100,000 of video equipment. You want me to shoot your videos? I've got a $250,000 studio in my basement of my house. You need to record a record. Like what barriers do you have to create?
Yeah, you want to be that breaker. That's
every business is three things: it's operations, it's marketing, and it's administration.
Yeah.
Tell me any business that's any different.
Yeah, some might have more than that, but like just that's the three.
That's the core.
That's the basic part of a business.
If you do that, you're good, and really the operations and the marketing is the most important thing because you can always hire someone to do admin. You don't even necessarily have to do that in-house, right?
Yeah. So how does the Muscadine thing start? And then you were that whole kind of introduction. How does Matt Wallace translate into being involved with not only Muscadine? There were some other acts at that time you were coming up with.
Yeah. So I was at the firm, and clearly always been passionate about music.
Were you like going to like Whiskey Jam and stuff? Like, were you going to events here in town, or were you just working the grind and living your life?
I didn't get that because I was at a firm that wasn't an entertainment-based firm.
Oh, so this is like business and residential, like private sector.
Yeah, we were mostly serving software development companies, construction companies, food manufacturing companies, real estate investment trusts, people that were billionaires, not people that were. Yeah. This is small business. The music business is small business. Like,
you're dealing.
Some of my clients were worth 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 billion dollars.
You ain't working with small potatoes.
Yeah. I'm talking about like one of my clients was a company called McKee Foods. Everybody in America knows who they are. They make oatmeal cream pies, so they're in every gas station.
Little Debbie's, yeah.
Every gas station ever. Swiss cake rolls, Nutty Buddies. We've all been there, right?
Like, we've all been on the road and stoned and had snacks.
I mean, it's just life. So it's like, once I came to the music business, there was like, I had this passion to be here, inspired me to like really want to take a band and do something with them. And so I started looking for acts, and I signed a couple more and started doing business management, just like the accounting thing. Because I was like, all right, cool, I can stay at the firm. I've got a comfortable living. I've got a comfortable lifestyle. I'm 27 years old, making $500,000 a year.
Yeah, on that accounting grind, like you're grinding. You're not just sitting on your ass.
I'm working 3,500 hours a year, so it was like 90 hours a work week every week. I mean, you can even ask Gary Stanton, like when they first moved in with me. Like I was still running the firm, and these dudes did not see me during busy season. Yeah. Like I'd come home at 10, I'd leave 7 a.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're out like, I think at that time we're even still touring as Gary and Charlie.
Yeah.
They weren't even Muscadine yet.
Yeah.
So it was just it was a different world. So like we finally ended up in a place, like where I was like, okay, I'm really passionate. I signed this kid, Luke Combs, that nobody had heard of. Signed this kid, Riley Green, that nobody had heard of. Signed this kid, Taylor Ray Holbrook, that nobody had heard of. Signed this kid, Upchurch, that nobody had heard of. Signed these dudes, Muscadine Bloodline, that nobody had heard of. And fast forward a year, I found out I had the picker. And not only I had the picker, I must have had good advice. So that's where at least I knew, hey, it was cool because I got to see a guy become a manager that had never been a manager before, Chris Cappy. So Chris, or Cappy, comes into my office, and I was like, bro, I got this office on Donaldson Pike. I'm, my CPA firm. There's 4 offices and a conference room. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm going to manage Luke. And I was like, sick. And, we had talked on the phone. I'd never really met him, in person or whatever. But he was like, yeah, and Luke says, he thinks he wants you to be the business manager. You were the first person to show any interest in him, so he wants you to give it a shot. So I was like, hell yeah. So dope, dude. Like, how can I help? Like,
what do you need?
Yeah. What do you need? And he was like, I don't know, man. I got to figure out where I'm going to work. And I was like, well, dude, all right, 1,400 square foot office here, Donaldson. It's just me. Like,
come on in.
Come on, dude. Yeah. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, man, just set up over there. And I was like, man, if anybody wants to do rights or anything too, this conference room right here, they can write in. So like, had to listen to Beautiful Crazy get written, like, super tough, So.
And these are what years? This is what, like 2014, 2013, 2015, or maybe even 16.
When did Hurricane drop?
Hurricane dropped in, I believe, I believe it like had its moment in 2017.
It was right after Hurricane dropped.
Yeah, Hurricane did.
Hurricane hadn't popped yet. It was nowhere near.
This is 20.
It might have been 2015 or 2016. Sounds right.
Yeah.
Which
is coming, which is about 7 years ago now.
Yeah, because Muscadine dropped Porch Swing Angel
2016.
April 2016, and I was managing them then. So this would have been 2015, fall of 2015.
Wow.
I want to say I think Luke dropped Hurricane June 2015 maybe, and then he dropped that EP.
Yep.
In around Thanksgiving time.
Like where do you have Outlaw?
This One's For You.
Yep.
It was the This One's For You EP he
yeah.
dropped that had all 6 of those. Those ones, the earlier EPs he dropped when he was in college.
Yeah.
So that new EP that was This One's For You, it had
Share If You Want To.
Memories Are Made Of. No. Out There.
That song
Hurricane
slapped,
was on
man.
there.
Yeah.
This One's For You was on there, and there was one other record on there. And I just remember being back in Jones Gap, Virginia, a little small place called Dot, Virginia, with Taylor Ray Holbrook, and playing the cover off of it that Thanksgiving break because I was helping Taylor launch his Patreon page.
Oh, shit.
So we were back there at the thing. So Taylor was the first artist that wanted me to manage them. So kind of fast forward to that next year, I start kind of helping Taylor Ray Holbrook, and Muscadine Bloodline was just becoming a band. They came to me and they were like, "Yo, man, we're gonna do the duo thing," and I was like, "Hell yeah, that's sick." And they were like, "Yeah, we're thinking about calling ourselves Cherokee Therapy," and I was like, "What the fuck?"
I've heard of that name before.
I said, "You did what?"
I've heard this story. Yeah.
I said, "Nah, G, I don't think that's it, Gary. Respectfully, neither one of you Native American. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just like that ain't it. Let's go back to the drawing board." Well, I was like, "I like where your head's at," and he's like, "I really want the rhyme thing."
The
and I was like,
alliteration,
yeah, okay, cool. We'll work on that. Yeah. And then I think a week later, maybe he came back with the Muscadine Bloodline thing, and I was like, "Man, I don't see a reason to hate it." It was really tough for me to not love it. So I was like, "All right, cool, sick." So then, that was probably December 2015. And then we dropped Southern Boy Cure, January.
That harmonica, yeah.
Yeah. And then, and they'd cut all these songs in October. That's when Charlie had moved in and Gary had moved into the house in June. So it was like 6 months after they'd been living with me, they started dropping. And, we went and shot that video for Porch Swing Angel, and we dropped that. And the song did decent, but then it just kind of kept climbing. Taylor Ray was living with us too, so Taylor Ray shouted it out, and I saw the effects of Taylor Ray.
Yeah, you saw it. Like everybody talks about this TikTok thing. You saw the Vine thing in country music, bro. You were there for the Vine days.
For the Vine thing. And all the meanwhile, reminding you, I didn't listen to country music still. I only listened to the bands I worked with.
Yeah.
You couldn't told you.
You were rocking hip hop.
Bro, if I had showed up at a country meeting and they had been like, "Hey, so tell us what you think about Tim McGraw," I'd have had to Google any song he ever did. Except for the one with Nelly. I could have sang you over and over again.
Yeah, just respectfully.
But that hit my culture. I don't know.
Yeah, just respectfully, that your culture, that your thing. Yeah.
It wasn't my thing. But I just remember the first time I heard Luke Combs, oh man.
That voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is special. That's what special is. This guy makes me want to like country music, and I don't. So I knew there was something there. Same with Gary and Charlie. When I heard their harmonies, I've been recording people my whole life. It would have been a dream for me to have them in my studio. Wow, y'all can just do that on the reg. You can just hold a guitar, Gary, and play any song, and Charlie, y'all can sing it together, and it's perfect. Well, yeah, I should just hold the camera and put that on the internet, right?
Yeah.
And so we did, and I think that's how that band grew so much in the early on. It was
YouTube was a big thing.
It was so easy for them to put out content every week on Mondays, Muscadine Mondays, dude, for probably 2.5 years while they lived in my house. I mean, I think y'all probably know exactly what my house looks like, because if you just go look at Muscadine Mondays for the first 2.5 years, it's in a different room in my house every week. Them blue walls, the little driveway. Yeah, that's all me, y'all. So if you see it, that's the thing. So I think like after 2.5 years of them just staying in people's faces, like people just loved hearing them sing. So it was like no matter that Porch Swing Angel just kept growing and kept growing and kept growing.
That road grind that they have been on for.
They were in a fortunate situation where
up and down Alabama, up and down 65, baby.
They were hustlers and they were willing to take no money and they were willing to do it duo acoustic and open in front of anybody. Yeah. So, you know, it was a great position because obviously I had Cappy in my office at the time, so getting Luke Combs dates wasn't the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Riley Green didn't have a manager. I was his business manager. His agent was also in one of the offices in my office. So getting Riley Green opening spots wasn't a tough thing. I was Bradley Jordan's tax guy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of in my hip pocket. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just like an easy thing to where I was like, oh, I can just kind of out business these people by like, I know what a band needs. I know what every business needs.
And you have the connections and everybody grows.
Every business needs operations, marketing, and administration. And in the music industry, there's 3 kinds of operations. There's publishing, there's recording, and there's touring. That's all this game is. Simple.
And you had all that in the office at the same time.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, let's rock, you know? Like, so I think watching them build and watching the collaborative stuff that me and Bradley Jordan put together and watching some of the things, you know, that we put together, it kind of made me dig country music in a different way. Cause I was like, okay, this isn't a cult. And admittedly, I was lucky cause I was super familiar with the culture. Growing up in Lebanon and spending all that time in Lebanon, like it's country music and then it's like white trash rap, you know, like, so it was the other thing. Like one of my best friends, Will Warren, we hated the same music that the other listened to, but that's my guy. Like we still both love throwing on waders and walking down Barton's Creek and catching fucking red-eye coosa bass. You know, like didn't matter that I like punk rock. I still grew up in Tennessee, you know, like with a fishing boat and shit, you know, like, so like it was just like one of those things where it's like I knew how Will thought. I knew how Michael thought. I knew how Tyler thought. So when I got to work with country artists, I was like, oh man, this is easy. Where you're like every girl and every guy in Lebanon, I just got to think, man, because there's only 2 types of music they listen to. They listen to Lil White and they listen to Tim McGraw and they listen to that shit. And I was like, all right, this is an easy game. So like I felt like if you reverse engineer business and you start with the consumer that you want to reach, you start with your target demographic and you work your way backwards, it seems pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, hip hop and country both have a super similar thing in their target demographic. It's called low income. And what's popping for low income people? It's called YouTube. Why? Because it don't cost shit. So if you're not fucking visually representing yourself on the internet as an artist in the country or the hip hop space, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because if you add up all the listeners on Pandora, all the listeners on Apple Music, all the active listeners on Spotify, you're at 43% of the active users on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know many country artists in this town that have more than 4 music videos. And people are like, man, why does Jelly Roll work? Well, we put out 10 music videos every fucking 12-song album.
Muscadine guys are big video based as well.
I mean, why do you think that was?
Yeah, again, it's bringing that culture over to that hustler's mentality over to it.
Well, marketing is impressions. You got to find a way to show up in people's faces.
Yeah.
And if you're not on radio because you don't have a label, the one place you can compete is the video world.
And I think that's why Vine and TikTok have been so huge in country music and hip hop as well.
It's free. Like I don't have to pay anything to go on and watch a country music artist on TikTok right now. I don't have to pay anything to consume on TikTok right now.
Yeah, it's your A&R. You're seeing somebody and it's just being thrown
and even
at you.
the poor people have these. Like even low income has this.
Or the tablet with the Wi-Fi. Like
the barrier to entry to this is no longer what it used to be.
It's not an income-based thing.
This is not a representation of a lifestyle move. You know, like when you used to have a cell phone, like when I had my cell phone at 16 years old, it was a move. Like in Lebanon, Tennessee, at 16 years old, people didn't have cell phones. Well, who's he? It's like, well, I got a reason to have a cell phone. I got plays to make, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, that was the thing. But, you know, like it was like that was the thing. So it's like, I think that we've we sometimes forget that, and I was easy to just like, I don't know, it's a high IQ, man. At the end of the day, I have 168 IQ. It's been tested 4 or 5 times. I tell everybody the lowest number it tested at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like self-confidence and self-awareness is one of my gifts. It's like, well, man, I haven't met too many people that have as high of an IQ as me. So it's like, I should probably just trust my gut because my intuition is pretty good if I've really thought it through and I've logically like participated in it. But it's like, well, I can grab a camera and I could shoot a music video and then edit it and color grade it.
It's being that multi-tool,
grab a band and do this is because I can learn things faster.
So I got to ask, so you do work, you've done a lot of work in country music and all that. How do you get linked up with Jelly? What's that? What's that story? Because that goes back into your that goes back into what you know.
Yeah, so this is funny. So, like, obviously, my passion was in hip-hop, and I think me and Gary we joked about it because, like, I listened to Yellow Wolf. I listened to, like, Machine Gun Kelly. I listened, like, that was what I enjoyed was, like, white rappers. And Gary does, too. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen him rapping on his Instagram.
Yeah.
But clearly.
I've been in the Sprinter many a times on the road, and he's bumping some little boozy badass.
Clearly, it was something me and Gary super shared in common that probably not as much as Charlie. So, you know, like we would always be showing each other different rap shit. And like, honestly, it was super refreshing for me to have a friend like that.
Yeah.
But so fast forward, I'm doing all these things. I'm making all these moves. And, you know, I've known Jelly my whole life because like I told you, or I've known of him since I moved to Lebanon because there wasn't a whole lot of people doing hip hop. And he had a very close relationship with Sonny Paradise, who ran Street Flavor Records. And was best friends with the dude that murdered my best friend when I was 16 years old.
Oh, no shit.
So I knew there was like 6 or 7 people that were like 1 degree of separation between me and Jelly. And I wanted to work with this man. He dropped a record called 2017 called Addiction Kills. And I was like, man, admittedly, didn't love a lot of what Jelly did, except a few songs here and there before Addiction Kills. There was like, he had dropped these mixtapes called Therapeutic Music, and there was a few songs on those where I was like, yeah, I like this Jelly. I don't like gangster rap Jelly or like wanna be Memphis rap Jelly or Molly by the Gram Jelly.
To you, it's the most authentic Jelly is this Jelly.
It's believable. So, I mean, Addiction Kills, if you listen to that record front to back, he talks about, you know, raising his daughter because the baby mama's in jail because she's a heroin addict. And you look at Jelly and you're like, man, if you've got custody of the kid, then what's the mama got to be like? You know what I mean? And they're like, this is this man's life. He's really talking about how addiction affects a family.
Yeah.
And how mental health is a real thing that you're going through and how he copes with his problems by drinking and smoking. And like, he's really saying the things that if anybody says he's a country rapper, I ask you what makes it country rap. There's nothing country about Jelly Roll ever. Like the fact that he's from Nashville.
Yeah, the accent like that.
Like I'm not sure. Like he's Southern rap, maybe, sure.
Yeah.
Like just like 3 6 Mafia.
Yeah,
would you call them country rap?
Just like anything out of Atlanta, NOLA, any of those areas.
But you could call it like therapeutic music. You could call it therapeutic rap.
Yeah.
You could call it addiction rap or mental health rap.
He's talking about real shit.
So we Southern NF. It's so far removed to me from Colt Ford and from the Lax.
Yeah, and I like what those guys do too, but it's such a different genre.
It's a different genre, and I think a lot of people they wrote off Jelly because they thought he was that, and they didn't really see what was in the core of the man. And I'll tell you this, like, I sat down with him after I begged Ward from Whiskey Jam. I begged fucking an attorney we both knew in town that was representing him at the time. I begged a couple show promoters I knew, Lane Flournoy down at Zydeco.
Oh, we know Lane,
yeah. I begged a few people. I was like, man, I really want to be in Jelly's space. And I think after probably like the 7th person who is the least suspecting person to be like, hey, man, you really need to meet this motherfucker. Jelly was like, man, I don't know how you even know him, but the fact that you know this guy, and then somehow this ex still kind of currently coke dealer / like thug ass, you know, fucking weed dealer, like, maybe I should take the meeting. So I hit him on the IG and I was like, boom, dude, like I've been hitting a bunch of people trying to get with you. And he's like, yeah. Reed told me about you. And Ward and a few other people, man. I'm currently working on this record, Waylon and Willie. I'm down at House of Blues. Let's like go grab sushi one day. So I'm sitting there, kind of picking his brain. Jelly's got a manager out in LA. I'm kind of like getting out of the business management thing. I just stopped business managing Luke. I just stopped business managing Riley. I was focused on just managing Muscadine at the time.
Yeah.
And had just started working with Jordan Fletcher. So Jelly had come to me and we were sitting there eating, and I kind of like told him my story and like picked his brain and was like, man, so you're really here on Blood, Sweat, and Tears in the sense of that you haven't done a whole lot of digital marketing. You ain't done a whole lot of like anything. He's like, man, proudly, I ain't never spent no money on ads. And I was like, all right, respect. I like that. You know, because I was like, I think there's a fucking millions of people that need to hear what you're fucking talking about.
Yeah.
Like meth, cocaine, addiction.
Being a dad with the baby mama in jail, like life.
You like Jelly's story is so insane that, man, rat tat tat tat, D Ford, baby girl. That's how he found out his daughter was born. In jail. You know what I mean? And that's the moment in his life that he knew he had to come out of jail and do something special to make a future for Bailey and for his family. And I think that man's music and that powerful message is like honestly why I'm want to work, you know, like go to work every day. And so like shout out Jelly Roll for being the only inspiration and the only reason I even put out music myself. You know, like if it weren't for his story and his encouragement and his big brother mentality, I mean, the dude took me out on tour of all the motherfuckers he could have taken out on tour. He's like, nah, I want you to open up, my manager. Like, I'm like, I didn't even really know what to do at first, you know? Like, I was like, man, I ain't been on a stage since I was like 16. Gee, I'm a behind the scenes guy now, you know? Like, but, you know, so and the funny thing is fast forward, I do my first show on the Jelly Roll tour in Anderson, South Carolina at Wendell's Dip and Branch, sold out, 4,000 people in front of my best friend Bradley Jordan as the promoter. Bruh. And I tell you, when I get off the stage, Bradley Jordan's face, insane, bruh. There's never been a more proud man in his life than the fact that Matt Wallace just got off the stage and killed it in front of 4,000 Jelly fans. Bradley Jordan was like about to cry.
That's awesome.
It was like sick. So I was like, man, those are opportunities I never dreamed I would have. I gave up that dream a long time ago and figured I'd be a businessman and figured I'd be, you know, creative. And then, you know, like Jelly brought me back into songwriting. Jelly brought me into helping produce records.
So one of our probably closest friends, I mean, obviously we got Mitch over here. Yeah. Who's been doing some great work and stuff.
Yeah.
The future mayor of Nashville.
Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson. What we sometimes call him Randy. We sometimes call him Ronnie because he's come out and done a lot of Trey Lewis dates with us. Yeah. And Ryan is, and a lot of people don't know this, Show Up Drunk.
Yeah.
Songwriter Matt Wallace.
Yeah.
That's one of your songs.
Yeah. Me and Ryan, man, pin that thing in the fucking, in my little blue room where Muscadine Bloodline did the Muscadine Mondays, y'all. And the funniest thing about Show Up Drunk is, like, I'm sitting there, I hit the dab rig, right? Faded. Me and Ryan are both just like looking at each other super stoned. All of a sudden, there's a red wasp on the dab rig right there. Me and Ryan are like both like so high in the middle of our Show Up Drunk ride. I'm like, what are we gonna do? I just grabbed the torch and fucking incinerate the red wasp right there. And if you can imagine Nelson's laughter, bro.
Yeah.
It was insane.
So you work with him. I mean, he's a longtime buddy. So how'd you first meet him and how's it progressed to what it is now? Because y'all are like brothers, but also business bros. Like y'all are in this game together.
So one of my other best friends and one of my favorite dudes to write songs with, Sam Crabtree, is actually who introduced me to Ryan. We went out to catch a writer's round, and I'd met Job Fortner quite a few times, super familiar with Job. But it was at the listening room, and it was like Ryan Nelson, Job, and Jordan Fletcher. And that was like that was the day I met Ryan and Jordan. And then, I was talking to them, and then, they were thinking about maybe doing a duo, and then they both ended up doing the single thing. And then, I ended up managing Jordan for a little bit, and he got that publishing deal. And then, I kind of just like took a step back from country music because the Jelly Roll thing went from like 0 to 100. And then it went from like 100 to 1,000. Yeah. And so I was like, well, thank God I did take that step back.
Y'all got a song on the fucking radio right now, on rock radio. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to, brag for my bro, but my dude doesn't have a song on rock radio. He has a song on alternative radio. He has a song on country radio.
See, I listen to rock radio, so that's where I'm hearing
He's on 3 formats right now.
Which is unheard of.
I don't know another artist in the world on 3 formats.
Yeah,
but
unheard of.
I mean, maybe somebody does. And I just want to remind you that he's independent, and by the end of the year we'll have 8 gold records independently. So
crazy.
Something special about that. I don't know if you need a label. Do they really know what they're doing? Yeah. Crickets, probably not.
So what's up? So talk about you and Randy Nelson. So you meet him at the listening room. Is this long hair surfer boy rant? Like,
oh yeah,
Florida, this is long hair hippie.
Florida boy Ryan.
He was a boy. He wasn't even Florida man yet. He was Florida boy.
Florida boy Ryan.
Him and Dobro and Jordan before Jordan
Ryan.
Found sobriety, and that house was wild.
Oh yeah, Jordan was reckless, man. Shout out to the transformation that kid's had in life, because he went from someone that was not so cool to be around to just like the guy.
Yeah,
like,
salt to the earth.
Yeah, just like wholesome as fuck. Like if I had a daughter, yeah, that's like how your husband should act. Is Jordan Fletcher. But the Jordan Fletcher I first met, probably not would have made the cut.
Man. He was a Florida boy as well.
Yeah. It was a little too rambunctious. But yeah, so Ryan was just like ball of energy. We ended up writing Show Up Drunk together, and then he put that out, and, I was like super impressed with it. And then, I don't know, Jelly was like, man, we got all these things. We got this video team. We got this these studios. You got all this gear. Like, we ought to just like find someone that we can help. I was like, well, what do you mean? It was like kind of like artist development or something, like we can give them a little bit of money to make their records and give them our resources and kind of tap in, let them use our video team.
Give back to the community.
Yeah, he was like, man, I just feel like, I'm becoming a great place where it's like, well, what do I do after me? Where's my place in music after I don't want to be the guy up there anymore, or I want to be selective about how many times I'm up there. He was like, I feel like the team that we have, like there's other people that can benefit from it. And I was like, yeah, me, Jelly, I'm an efficiency junkie, and we're probably using about 40% of our resources, we probably tap in and at least give something to somebody, And so that was like, Ryan was the first one where we were like, all right, let's try this, because I brought him into the office and he played Wasn't the Truck. And Jelly was just like, fucking, man, play that again real quick. Man, you mind playing that 3 times in a row for me? I was like, damn. He's like, yeah. And I think that song just like spoke to Jelly in a way. And like, Ryan is such a songwriter. He's just that guy for real. So, really excited to see this new record that he's been working on with Grady Saxman.
And the Grandpa song.
Yeah, and the Grandpa song,
which is another Sam Crabtree cut.
Have you heard that?
Yes. So I first heard that during COVID. I was hanging out with Nicky T from Raised Rowdy, and Ryan played it one night. We were in the backyard having cigars and chilling, and I was like, Ryan, why the fuck haven't I heard that song? He's like, man, I don't know. I don't want to bring the mood. I'm like, dude, that is a top 5 Ryan Nelson song. It just tells a fucking story.
Yeah.
Brings a mood out.
Man, it's sick. So we actually cut that one in the boneyard in my studio at the crib. So I'm excited for that one to come out. I think it's actually, but probably by the time this airs, it's out.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So y'all go check it out. It's called Way Back When, I think. Yeah.
When's what's touring life with Ryan Nelson and Jelly been like? Like the 3 of you guys and because it's all in the family, and like you've got like the security crew out with you. Like you guys have that your road family.
Yeah.
What's it like when you bring Ryan into the mix with that?
Oh man, Ryan, for all intents and purposes, is functionally dysfunctional.
Yes.
So like, the one mad respect for Ryan that I love about him is that dude will not like make me have to wait on him to finish his cigarette, and that's super appreciative for an ex-smoker. Like, like there's some guys won't throw my guitar player under the bus, James Jones, you motherfucker, that like will make me have to sit there for 5 minutes while you finish your cigarette at Sprinter van call in front of the lobby, and it's very inconsiderate. So
I'd throw it out at halfway just to get going.
Coolest thing about Ryan Nelson is that, he's willing to throw the cigarette out and get in the Sprinter van and get moving. Least cool thing about Ryan Nelson, the way that man's feet look.
He does have weird looking feet.
They're fucking disgusting,
Yeah, because
y'all.
he barely wears shoes.
They're never the same color as his skin for whatever reason. I don't know. It's like some shade of green sometimes, some brown, some dark black. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Why was it Ryan that take the chance on? Because you see folks all the time. What was it about Ryan Nelson that you were like, this is the guy we got to give a shot? And Jelly's thought process.
I mean, I
too.
do think it's the music, but part of it is that like, you got to choose someone that's entertaining and has a personality, and Ryan definitely has that. Now it's like, now the problem that I have with Ryan that I've got to figure out how to work through is like how to like really harness that energy and show it to the world, because sometimes people who are characters naturally and so unapologetically authentic when it comes to like having to film it or show it, or it's just that's not their thing. So like for Ryan, like, I can think of a million funny times when it's like, man, if the cameras had a rolling and America had seen this, man, he'd already be a superstar.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I do. I take I take Snapchats of a fucked up Ryan Nelson.
Yeah.
I have him on the kickball field out there doing
the best
flips.
ones we have are yours. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
like,
just me videoing Ryan Nelson when he's fucked up,
And it's
or
like-
when he's sober and just telling a joke.
Yeah.
He's a smart motherfucker too.
Yeah, he's
That's
one
why
of
I'm
those
saying
guys.
this. That's why
Yeah.
I'm saying this mayor thing. Like, he's got a poli sci and a history degree from fucking Florida State. Kid's still got some brain cells left. Like, he can
Some. Yeah.
some. But that's fucking awesome. And now, how does that stuff transition into Still Matthews?
Yeah, so honestly, I started producing some records with Jelly and started, I was writing the songs with Ryan and writing with a few other peoples in town. This kid Britt Wilder I've worked with.
No Patrick. Yep.
Yeah, that's the little homie. I've been writing songs with Patrick for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. So I guess, man, one day I sent Jelly this record, and it was a song called Diamonds and Gold. And he was like, yo, dude, that's Madfly. Who's that? So, oh, man, it's just a little work tape. He's like, yeah. Who's that? I was like, that's me, bro. And he's like, no. And I was like, yeah, dude. He's like, man, I'm going to put that on hold. And I was like, my song? You're putting my song on hold? And he's like, yeah, just in case I want to drop that one. That shit's fire. And I was like, okay, sick. And so my roommate, Stu Stapleton, super dope keyboard player, right? Like, fly. I said to myself, I played in a jazz combo in college, right? We'd go play this bar every Friday and Saturday night. It was how I made the little weekend money or whatever, tips and all that shit. And it was cool. It was guaranteed money. We'd go play, and there was this dude that played keys with me. His name was Ron Gilmore. And now he's like J. Cole's music director, like all that. He was a badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Bad motherfucking musician, man. So was Rojan, so was Terry, man. So was Jamar. All y'all were sick. I was the only white guy, right? Like, so like these guys just had so much feel and so much like just, it was a different world of music than what I'd experienced before. Like playing in rock bands, like it just was different. I was the guy that had the feel, like I was like, no, drummer, you gotta like swag it like this, or whatever. Or we're gonna push a beat here. That's like how rock works, like. So, like I think whenever, I stopped doing music and I got trapped in the accounting lifestyle, I kind of said, man, if I could ever find musicians as talented as those guys, I would do it again. So, Alejandro Medina.
Yep. No, we know Alejandro.
Yeah,
Yep.
Stu Stapleton. They move in my house, and Alejandro's got this little recording set up downstairs, and I admittedly had a little bit of gear left, but I'd kind of thrown everything in the closet. So mostly what I had that was even current and able to be used was just guitars or something, So, and I mostly just had a really nice acoustic because I was using it to write songs.
Yeah.
So I guess Alejandro, had this little recording set up downstairs. And Stu was upstairs one day, and I was just goofing off, and this beat came on, And I started rapping. And Stu was like, man, whose song's that? And I was like, what do you mean? And I was just off the dome.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you mean?
Just freestyle a little bit. Yeah. And he's like, how is this you?
He was like, wait a second, the dude that manages Muscadine Bloodline, like he'd only been my roommate for like a week. He was like, wait, the accountant? Like, what's happening right now? I was like, yeah, dog, I got a different past, man. You know, like, I'm kind of removed from that, you know, a few years at this point, like 6 years probably sober at that point. And so Stu was kind of just like, yo, man, like, you ever think about just like doing something? I was like, man, no, not gonna either, really, you know? But I was like, man, what I would do is I would get into making beats again just because I'm working with Jelly and, you know, like, maybe could get some placements. I'm like, at that time wasn't just super thrilled with the production he had. I was like, it could go a different direction and be a little bit cooler in my eyes. But I was like, I just never really been a keyboard player, and a lot of hip hop beats require keyboards and programming. And I was like, man, my skill set's just a little different. I'm more like an engineer guy, and like, you know, I can play some guitars, and you know, like I understand music theory real well because I was, you know, alto sax player and improv jazz player, and you know, like was pretty sick at it. And he was like, well, yeah, clearly you have melody capability. And I was like, yeah. So we just made this beat, made like a whole pack of them, right? Threw them all in this Dropbox. I send it to Jelly. And we just keep loading up this Dropbox. I'm like, man, surely he's going to hear something in here one day and it's going to stick, right? So, like 6 months later, Jelly calls me. He's like, man, I finally figured it out. And I was like, what's that? He's like, Dropbox is an app, dog. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I didn't know you had to download the app to get into the shit. And I was like, that's the only way I've been giving you beats, like from all the other producers, from me. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm in there now. And I was like, bro, there's like hundreds of beats in there. I've been like thinking that these were all slaw. We all sucked. Like telling dudes go back to the drawing board, like reevaluate themselves.
He didn't listen to a single
And he hadn't heard a single fucking one of them. And I said, oh my God. This just changes everything for me. Yeah. I'm not insignificant, you know, like. And so I guess he goes to the studio that night and he pulls one up and, Yellow Wolf's in there. He goes, yo, this is fire. Man, I got a hook for this right now. So he lays down this hook, and it's a song called Southern Hospitality.
Yep.
And it was a beat me and Stu made. And I was like, man, where'd you get this beat? And Jelly's like, man, some guys on my team, you know, like I could tell just not wanting to, you know, be like my manager, you know, like, because that's not really that cool. Like my manager gave me a beat, you know, like. But it was clearly fire. I mean, Yellow chose it out of all the ones they've been listening to. And it made the record, and that was like our first placement. And then it just became, you know, on the next record we did 6 or 7. Then on the next record we did 4 or 12. And then on Self-Medicated we did 12 or 18, me and Stu. So like we just kept getting the placements and kept getting the placements.
What's it like being the manager, doing the bit? Do you still do the CPA stuff? Like, is that
I gave up that.
So that side's gone. But being a manager, but also making beats, but also opening for the guy who you're managing and helping produce. I mean, like what's that like? Doing all 3 facets? Like,
it's a dream come true.
Nobody does that.
Yeah, like, it's a dream come true. Yeah.
Like, how do you keep that balance?
Well, it's why it's like some of my close friends are like, dog. So when's like the book coming? Like, when's the movie coming? People don't like. You're a unicorn, dude. Like you can just do all this shit, and I'm like, man.
And you're 34. Like you're still. You think about folks that are involved in bringing along artists and work and putting in the grind that you've been putting in over the last X amount of years. Usually, people are like their 50s.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be Rick Rubin, y'all.
Fucking 34. Like what? Like
Nashville. I'm gonna be Nashville's Rick Rubin.
Like what do you want to do next?
Yeah,
like
I mean,
like what do you keep?
Be the most iconic music business mogul that this city's ever had. Like. Production to the business side. Like, I really want to bring urban to Nashville. So I want to sit down and I want to have a conversation with my good friend over at 30 Tigers, David Macias, about how we can put a light and use some of the resources that are in this city for something other than rock and country, because there's talented people, But if
Yeah, has the rap scene always been here in Nashville? Because people talk about
it's always been here. The thing that hasn't been here is these fucking white suits that won't they're terrified of it. They're terrified of the culture I grew up in. They're terrified of driving through fucking Lebanon, Tennessee, where I grew up. They live in their Williamson County big brick sky rises and sell fucking music on the radio to 35-year-old soccer moms. You know? They don't even sell country music to the people that really love it.
Yeah.
That's why nobody likes Michael Ray's music that's a real fucking country dude. Sorry, Michael. I think you're great. You know, like, but you know, like, that's just it. Y'all are missing the boat.
Yeah. So
you're still forced to sell music to radio, and that's a broken model.
So you mentioned a guy earlier that you were involved on the business management side for a second that what it gets referred to by some folks as the boogeyman of Music Row. I'm a fan. I've been bumping his shit for a long time since I was up in New York.
Yeah.
You had Upchurch involved in some of this too. What's that? Because you talk about the Music Row thing and people being scared of what they don't know and not willing to take a chance on it and just being scared of what it could be and changing things.
Yeah.
His name falls right in that shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that nobody's ever going to touch because they're terrified of it.
Even though the success and the fan base and like all that stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Like, how does that gap get bridged? Like, how do you bring it together? What do you do? What does it take?
Independence still continues to thrive. More successful independent acts collaborating together. Like, you can't stop Chance the Rapper, Jelly Roll, Russ, all these people if they're working together. You can stop them if they're working alone. And that's the biggest advantage that the majors will always have over the indies, you know? But like for a cat like Upchurch, you know, it's like, what's next for him? You know, one of the reasons why it's like the branding move with Jelly is an interesting move is because I feel like I said earlier, we fit in rock now, we fit in country, we fit in alternative. So there's 3 mediums where they will accept us at radio even now. And that was never a dream even when I started working with Jelly. That would have never been a thought. I mean, my dude played the Grand Ole Opry this year. Like
Ryman.
Sold out the Ryman in 47 minutes or some shit.
Yeah.
Like this is unheard of stuff that like nobody would have ever expected. So it's like the new thing is that I don't think that there's ever a place Upchurch fits in, and I don't think that there's ever a day when these guys accept and work with.
But do they even have to?
They don't have to.
He can still do
it.
They
can stay in their box, and they can stay in their box.
Yeah.
I guess the big thing is that like for me, my goal is to make sure that a genre doesn't get missed because the resources that we do have in abundance in this city are so hyper-focused on country that we don't grow the greatness that is the Nashville hip-hop scene or the Nashville indie rock scene or the Nashville pop scene because we hold on too tightly to the country scene because we don't want to let it go and we miss the opportunity to have our own thing here. Like Memphis has a better rap scene than we do. Atlanta smokes us at rap. Like there's no reason. We have way more resources, way more studios, way more capable business people, way more capable marketing people.
And the talent's here too. There's some talented kids out there. There's folks that have been doing the rap thing in Middle Tennessee for a minute.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, it takes the culture, like, shout out Jimmy Allen, shout out Mickey Guyton, shout out all these people, Kane Brown, that are in an industry and in a genre that is harder for you. It's harder for you, and you're breaking barriers. And like, I commend it, like because it's not easy to want. It's easy to love country, but it's not easy. I can't imagine to be an urban person trying to make it in country music Nashville. And like it's just so refreshing to see that it's even possible now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you know, growing up, I can't name you an African American country artist like that was
90s.
Really from the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, like you had Charlie Pry back in the day.
Back in the day.
That was a long time ago.
Back in the day. But in the 90s, like, I don't know that.
In the explosion of the 90s and 2000s, there wasn't a single one in there.
Darius Rucker, to me, will never be a country
He's always going to
artist.
be Hootie.
Yeah, he's always Hootie. So it's like, it's a weird thing. You know, like, so it's like, just like, I think that as Nashville becomes more accommodating, you know, for opening the doors of its resources up to newer beginnings, then that's the future. You know, I'm proud that we have one of the coolest things in fucking planet Earth here, the National Museum of African and American Music.
Yeah.
Man, it's sick. You know, it's like there's a place here for more, you know, it's like the same thing that Jack White did for rock here. You know, he brought a lot with Third Man here for rock. And, you know, that brought a station like Lightning 100 that really serves that market. And then it brought people like the Black Keys, you know, into the city. And so like now, you know, there's a lot of rock bands that come to Nashville to dispatch out of, to work out of.
The Buzz does a great job of showcasing that local scene as well. That 1029 on there.
Yeah, shout out to the Buzz. They gave Jelly a chance, man.
Oh, bro, they play him almost once every like couple hours. I tune into that station like our local boy Jelly Roll, and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Like,
let's go.
And to me, that's it. That's like seeing Jelly do this, and like there's some really cool pop artists in the city. You know, like there's some. I'm working with this dude, Mikey Mike. He's from Maryland, but he's down here. We're working with 30 Tigers, and dude, it is like the coolest fucking music ever. And the fact that it's in Nashville and I get to be a part of it, like makes me excited. Like I've got kind of an all over the place roster of people I work with, because I do work with Jelly, who's, you know, his own animal. I do work with Mikey Mike, who's this alt R&B indie guy.
You got Josh Kaiser over there too.
Josh Kaiser, who's like
pop, 90s.
Could be 90s country, just like breathed life back into 90s pop country.
Dude could read like the phone book and it would sound like a hit.
Oh
like,
my
the dude's
God,
got
dude, it's
just
like,
the voice that Nashville hasn't had in a second.
Yeah. I got Ryan, who's a little bit more his own animal.
Yes.
You know, like it's not up the middle country. It's Ryan Nelson, uniquely Ryan Nelson.
Yeah.
You know, we work with this artist, Justin Wells.
Yep.
About to start working with this artist, Atlas. You know, so it's like, it's all over the map. Like Justin's an Americana guy. Atlas is kind of like, almost like Sam Smith meets a little bit of urban hip hop influence.
With that R&B.
Like, yeah.
Cool.
His big hit is, you're a fucking bitch, I hope you know that shit. I could never trust a hoe, I had to learn that quick. How many others are you sleeping with? All I know is I don't deserve this. Shout out Atlas,
Yeah,
man.
so like some...
You're a fucking bitch is gonna be a gold record. And dude had nothing, no machine behind him, nothing. So like super excited to have a guy like him, and he's out in Denver, Colorado. So it's like just the fact that Nashville's becoming a place where, in me being a manager and a face out there, that people are seeing what I'm doing with Jelly, and they saw what I did in the country space, and being a guy that's not even from country and accomplishing what I accomplished over there. And like, they see us doing it without the labels, and they see us doing it, you know, on our own accord and on our own terms and on our own dollar. And I think it fires them up, you know, because they're like, man, I'm only getting offered this deal. And you're telling me there's another option than me signing this deal? Yeah, it's called do it your damn self. Like, dude, do you need their marketing department? How do you know the person that does the interviews is even good at interviewing? I know I'm good at interviewing.
It definitely.
So
it's a valid point.
Yeah,
bro.
I mean, yeah, cool. Yeah, if you want to be on radio and not own your masters, I guess sign the deal.
Yeah, and not be selling. I mean, you could sell tickets without giving that up.
Yeah, Muscadine Bloodline, case in point.
I mean, we see it right now.
Independent country band popping.
Yeah,
you know, like Co-Wetzel.
Yes. Yeah,
tell me that dude's not a fucking force.
Yeah, he's a fucking rock star, bro.
Yeah,
did you see what he announced today? They're doing the weekend of 420, 2 shows with Snoop Dogg in the upper Midwest, like South Dakota, Lincoln, Nebraska, Co-Wetzel and Snoop Dogg. What the fuck is that gonna be like?
Gonna be sick.
It's gonna be ridiculous. Yeah. What's something you wish you knew 10 years ago, or you knew when you were like involved, like when you were getting started in this, that you know now?
Yeah, totally. I think the most important thing that I wish I had known now was that, you know, like, you don't have to, nobody else lives with the consequences of your decisions but yourself, right? So this person's opinion of me, or opinion of what they think I should be doing, bears zero weight in my life, because they don't have to live with the consequences of my decision. So why the fuck should I care what they think? Unless you're actually having to walk in my shoes, why the fuck should I listen to you? So a lot of people, they want advice, but they don't understand the difference between good advice and bad advice.
They just want advice.
They want advice. So you got to realize the source you're getting the advice from. I got a lot farther in life when I stopped taking advice from people.
And you started going with your
doing
gut.
with what I really knew was right, you know? Like, I don't need to turn to my cousin for validation. I don't need to turn to this person over here for validation. If this is what I feel and what I'm passionate about, I need to attack that because it's going to show, it's going to translate. My passion, my tenacity, that's going to translate in my vision. It's not going to translate if I'm having to ask homie X over here and he fills me with some self-doubt, and then homie X over here doesn't think it's a good idea, so he fills you with some self-doubt. Like, I don't give a fuck what my own mom thinks. It's like why when some people are like, hey man, you know, like you're gonna have to act like this, you know, kind of keep on your piece. And whoa. I'll tell my own mother, fuck you at the dinner table at Christmas if it's warranted. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, that's the thing. It's like having an opinion is a dangerous thing. So it's like saying for someone, if they want my advice, I'll give it to you, but that doesn't mean you need to take it. You live your life.
Yeah, it's your life.
Yeah.
I got no horse in the race
yeah,
here.
I got horse in the race.
I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you either way. But like
and as a manager, it's a thing that I've had to learn. It's like, hey man, here's my advice. Now, if you want to go a different decision,
do it.
And after I've educated you, you want to chase a different ball, no problem.
And ride or die. I'm here with you.
I'll put my hands in my pockets and I've chased the ball with you. But like, it's also my job to speak up and at least voice, you know, what I think is best for the business we're running together.
Exactly, because it is a business.
It's a business we're running together. So it's like, you've hired me to be the CEO of your company. I'm going to give you a CEO's opinion.
Yeah.
You're the president, though.
Yeah.
If the president wants to make pita chips, doesn't give a fuck, then I'm an Oreos guy, and I think the margins are better. We're pita chips, baby. You know, like, it's cool, man. You paying me to be here, so I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, that's what it takes to move forward, is it's like, you got to hear the music through the static. And so many people are lost in the static that they never really get to hear the music. And I think that's the most important thing that I wish I knew 10 years ago. Was there were so many places in my life, like Still Matthews would have been doing music if I had more people like Jelly Roll in my life, you know. But when I was 18, doing sing rap like Post Malone does now was not cool. That's not cool, bro. It's gangster rap, bro. Like, you're gonna sing and you're like kind of emo about it. Like, you're talking about how you got like personal problems and shit, like depression. That's not hard, bro. You're weak. That was the people around me.
Yeah. When meanwhile,
you fast forward 17 years later and Post Malone's singing fucking Matt Wallace songs. I'm like, man, I fucking wrote this already.
Yeah.
Damn it. How come I didn't have nobody in my life that told me I was good? And it's because they wanted to keep me in the chair. They wanted to be the person in the booth. You know what I mean? And that's why I respect Jelly more than anybody else.
Giving you that chance.
Because if anybody wanted to keep me in the chair and out of the booth, it should have been Jason D. Ford.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So that makes all the rest of you petty ass motherfuckers. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's like, man, the dude that had the most reason to be like, oh, you shouldn't take your time doing music and being
because I need you to do this, this, and this.
I got X million things for you could do. It's like, bro, you're not going to put your music out? You're not going to come on tour with me? You're not going to play these amazing songs in front of fucking rowdy fans that are going to love them? Like, I guess I got to if you're going to feel that way about it.
Yeah.
You know, my whole life, bro, I just want, you know, like, trying to stay out the way, trying to stay behind the scenes.
Yeah, be in your lane.
Trying to just keep here and stay in my lane and do my thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's kind of one of my things I've preached. But then, you know, Jelly was like, man, it's not about you and me, bro. It's about the heart that you're putting into this music, is heart that other people are feeling and just like I had a voice that needed to be heard. You've got a voice that needs to be heard.
If I can help that voice get out there, I'm here for it, bro.
That's
cool.
when we did that song Overdose. It's like there's so many people every night that are like, I lost my husband, or I lost my, son, or I lost my whatever to overdose. And it's like, this song makes me feel like I'm not alone, because it's like you've clearly dealt with the same kind of feeling in your life. It's like,
yeah, dude, it's important. People need that real shit. Got a couple Nashville questions for you. Best Mexican joint in Nashville.
Man,
there's a lot of them. Y'all Southern folk love your Mexican food.
So this like Tacos y Mariscos.
Where the fuck is that?
Right, so like this is that like...
Is this that Antioch shit?
This that real... So there's one in Antioch, that's the Lopez, and there's one in Madison. But I promise you're going to go in there, they're going to look at you funny.
Because they're like, what's this gringo?
Because you're speaking English.
Yeah.
Yeah. And B, you're definitely going to probably see some like kingpin over there doing some kind of business deal where you're like, I think he might be in the Mexican gang cartel. Probably.
But that's how you know it's the best place.
Tacos y Mariscos. If you're not scared while you're eating it, you're not in the right place.
All right. Where's one of your better, what do you think's like an underrated spot that a lot of people sleep on out here?
Man.
Whether it's food, bar, hangout, whatever.
So there's this Irish pub out in my neck of the woods, near Donaldson, right near Elm Hill Marina. It's called McNamara's, right? So this is the first place I took Luke Combs, y'all. So I met Luke Combs in McNamara's in the upstairs. There's this little hidden bar. There's the downstairs joint, which is dope, wraparound bar, full Irish like serving, and then there's a stage over there where they play music, and then upstairs is like an Irish sports pub, like big screen TVs, dart boards, that kind of vibe. And so went upstairs, me and Luke sit down, and he orders shepherd's pie, and fucking he just looks at me after he's done. He's like, bro, what is this place? And I was like, yeah, it's the best Irish food you're ever gonna have. And so this place is rated like slick #1 Irish pub in the world, not in Ireland.
Wow. See, I grew up around in New York. We have mixed for days, bro.
What's the big one in New York that it beat? There's a big one in New York and a big one in Chicago that it somehow beat out.
I mean, there's Fitzpatrick's.
I'm sure this is just one year.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot.
But it was whatever that iconic one is in New York.
Yeah,
but it's really owned by real
Callahan's.
Irish
maybe it's one of those.
Man, I can't remember. It's been
some Irish last name, but I'll have to check that out. So, where'd you say that's at?
McNamara. So it's at like the end of where Donaldson Pike hits Lebanon Pike.
Oh, I know right where
that. And it's in an old funeral home. Yeah. So it opened up in 2010.
Funeral home.
So before it was a funeral home. Yeah.
McElwain, I'm taking you there, man. We're gonna get you drunk at the old funeral home.
It's fucking sick. Yeah. When y'all go, let me know. I'll meet y'all there. It's only like 5 minutes from the house.
It sounds tight.
My treat, dude.
Hell yeah, bro. I'd be down for some fucking. They probably got the good fucking corned beef in there.
Have you ever had Scotch eggs?
No,
bruh. So this is the other thing that I put Luke Combs on, yeah. So they take an egg, right? Hard boiled egg, right?
Yeah.
And they put this batter around it that's got like bits of sausage in it, and they deep fry it. So it's a deep fried hard boiled egg.
Oh, jeez.
And then they have like this Cajun mayo sauce that you put on it. I'm telling you, it'll fucking change your life. Like people that don't like eggs even like these. So it's like, that's how you know it's good. And you're like, I'm not really that guy. And you're like, just try a little bit, man. I think it'll be different.
Yeah. You fuck with the hot chicken thing at all?
Oh, yeah.
Or the barbecue thing?
Yeah.
Oh, you're probably Prince's.
Bolton's, really?
Bones? Where's that?
Bolton's.
Oh, Bolton's.
Super Bolton's guy. But mainly just because I like the hot fish better.
And they give you the hot fish there.
They've got the hot fish.
There's a place in Franklin that does that. What's the name? Big Shakes.
Yeah, Big Shakes. Yep.
He fucks with some hot catfish too.
Yeah,
just
that
a
shit's
big old boy in the back in the kitchen making out them dishing out the milkshakes and hot fish, hot chicken.
Hot catfish and hot whitefish is my jam. But yeah, as far as the chicken goes, I think that the chicken is probably best at Prince's, but the sides at Hattie B's
are good. That mac and cheese is good.
The mac and cheese is good. The potato salad's good. Even the peach cobbler they got for dessert's good. The banana pudding's good. So I think that's the gift of Hattie B's is if I gotta like choose somewhere, it's probably there if I'm taking someone that's not like local. But if you're like, oh, I'm a hot fish guy, Bolton's all day, 100%. 100%.
I don't think I've had Bolton's yet, and I like the catfish because it's not something I grew up on.
It's hot.
Well, I
Like,
mean, I can go low. Like, do they have the typical flavors where it's like medium mild that goes up?
Yeah, but it's like whatever it is compared to the other ones you've had, it's
I might as well eat the damn shit naked.
yeah,
Put
yeah.
my little Tabasco
Just
on it.
one less down. Yeah. You're like, whoa.
Damn. So what do we got cooking the rest of 2022? So 12
Man.
Steps just came out. I bet you there's touring dates. Like, what do we got
Dropping
going?
songs, few shows on the road with Jelly, music videos. Jelly's got an album coming out. Atlas has got an album coming out. Mikey Mike's got an album coming out. Josh Kaiser's got an EP coming out.
Ryan's pushing
Ryan's
stuff.
got an album coming out. Justin Wells is going into cut. Everybody's on the road. COVID's disappearing.
Yep.
You know, I love it.
I think we're actually doing a show, and I say we're like Trey. We have I think it's at Taylor County Boondocks, Butler, Georgia, which I think some guys in our crew were there
Jelly,
last
right?
year. Yeah, we're on that one. I think direct support with Jelly.
Yeah. Jackie Patel is the promoter.
Dude,
Shout out
Wendell's.
Jackie,
Oh,
bro.
we love us some Jackie.
Jackie's a
We
trip,
we
man.
did we had a show at Wendell's, and it's the infamous show. It was during that COVID time in early 2021, and packed out the inside of Wendell's, which the inside of Wendell's is a fucking experience. I know you guys were outdoors for that Jelly show, but that inside, that room looks small and it gets tighter as people pack in.
Yeah, dude.
So
it's crazy,
we had
man.
something that happened where the cops had gotten called, and they kind of saw what was in there, and they were like, yeah, you guys are operating on a restaurant license. Like, you got to shut this down. So Trey gets up there, plays a 10-minute version of Dick Down in Dallas. Then afterwards was our lighting guy's birthday, and Jackie just hooked it up with fucking Shine and whiskey and all this stuff. And the crew just partied, man. One song, that's all Trey had played. Just played Dick Down at the beginning, and whatever, because it got shut down. But then Jackie was he's been great every time we've been out there.
Man,
We love Jackie.
Jackie's a trip, dude. Yeah. So him and Bradley took care of us at Wendell's.
Yes,
man,
both do a really good job at that.
Yeah, they're solid, man. Best promoters in the South, if you ask me.
Yeah, dude.
Them in Lane, man. Shout out Lane, man.
Yeah, man, we're part of that 65 South family. You got to see the inception of that. You were there for the birth of that shit.
Yeah. I mean, literally watched the beginning of it with Murphy and Riley and in Muscadine. Yeah, I remember just talking, because at that time, you know, like I was working with Riley in Muscadine. So, I mean, I was pretty much 2/3 of 65 South's negotiation.
And now
negotiating against my best friends, Bradley and fucking Lane. And I'm like, hey, this is cool, dude. We're going to be something someday. And they're like, maybe. You know, like, none of us knew. I don't think any of us were sure, man. Like, even before me, Bradley will tell you stories about selling 4 tickets at Peachtree Tavern to fucking Cole Swindell and like Luke Bryan and Chase Rice shows, you know, and nobody gave a shit.
Taking a chance.
Yeah, but
not getting deterred by the early stages of your business, because it takes a minute for growth, man. You got to put in them work. Take some losses.
100%.
Take some losses before you start winning.
Bro, just think if Jelly had to quit after 15 years. I mean, it's the last 5 years of his career, the 16 through 20 that have taken him off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like my friend Jelly says it the best, right? Like, he's like, man, if you give me a baseball bat and you tell me I can be in fucking, you know, let's call it Yankee Stadium, and I can be here as long as I want, and I can swing this bat as many times, and you'll give me $1 million if I hit it out of this ballpark, I'm not going home until I hit one out of the ballpark. Like, I'm going to swing 10 million times, I'm going to die in that ballpark. Maybe because I didn't eat, maybe because I didn't do anything, but he's like, I'm not leaving the ballpark. And it's like, that's where I think people are they overthink things. You know, they don't put it out, or they don't do this, or they don't take this risk because they want everything to be a great decision. You know what? Like, it's like baseball. I'm telling you, the best businessmen I know, their batting average is 300%.
Yeah, and they'd be Hall of Famers.
The reason why they're Hall of Fame businessmen and multi-billionaires is because their batting average was 300%, because they got up to bat 5,000 times with a new business idea. So everybody in this world that thinks that they're going to get up to bat with one business idea or one song idea, and it's going to be the one, man. That ain't it, dude. So you got to just keep fucking doing it. Nobody's going to bat 1,000. Nobody's going to bat 500. Not even fucking Luke Combs. You know, not even fucking the Jelly Rolls. Not even, you know, nobody bats 1,000. So it's like, you got to learn what's acceptable to you and not be scared of risk, especially at a younger age when risk is, you know, a good time. the thing that you're working for the most, or that most artists are working for when they move to this town, is the risk that they shouldn't take. The risk of whether a record label's gonna, because their batting average is 1 in 100. Go down to any record label in town. You ask to see their books, and you say how many y'all are, how many of your artists are in the black. Man. And as a matter of fact, if you want to see Warner's, it's a publicly traded company. Warner Music Group is their stock ticker symbol. You can look at their 10K if you'd like. I do it all the time. That's why I'll never sign a deal with them. Oh. You can't even operate your business profitably. Why the fuck would I be here? I'm used to working with businesses with better profit margins.
For a while, it's funny. We had David Nail on here a couple episodes back, and he was saying that when he was getting started, they were saying the money that they were spending, they were just like, for a while, the label system was operating off the money that was coming in from the 90s, from the early 2000s. They weren't
legacy catalogs. They're operating off legacy catalogs.
Legacy catalogs, and it's starting as time goes on. It runs like that money runs out.
Well, yeah, no more do legacy catalogs play, because, you can't sell the CD that was originally purchased on vinyl, on tape, on CD anymore. Yeah. And nobody really gives a fuck.
Yeah, that's why David said he would. That's why David said he was happy to have come up when he did, because that 2008 to 2013,
he won because he got to experience the last of the physical product era into the streaming era.
And then be part of that forefront where they still had the record money when record labels were more apart what needed to be, and now it's like it's the Wild West out there. And if you got a mind, you got someone like you in your corner, you got some help out there. Like,
you're just building a business like any other business is.
Yeah, why not be an independent owner instead of a franchise? That's kind of what it comes down to.
It's easy if you want to shoot 10 videos a year and you've got a $5,000 per video budget to pay $50,000. Yeah. It's also easy to hire a kid for $36,000 and put him on payroll and figure it out. You know what I mean?
If you got the capital,
Yeah, and if it works out for you,
then score. Huge return on investment.
If it doesn't, hire someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to take that chance. Dude, this has been probably one of the most interesting podcast interviews I've done, because you can fucking talk, and I've learned so much in however long this has been. McElwain, how long we been going? Hour 45. We're right at the sweet spot. Cool. Sweet. So, bro, where can people go to find you? So it's what? Still Matthews?
Still Matthews, Still. Got the name from a disease I have, autoimmune disorder called Still's disease. Okay. And then Matthew is my first name. I figured I'd make it my last name. So yeah.
Still Matthews. Yeah. And because I'm going to label this, because we talked a lot about the industry. We talked about the artists, and we talked about it all. If there's like some young folks out there, because that's part of what this industry series thing is kind of for, is shaping this next generation to have on real motherfuckers like yourself. To hear, instead of just hearing the professor at whatever XYZ school they're paying $70,000 a year to go to, hear from the real motherfuckers that have been in the trenches doing it. Is it cool if some of our younger folks hit you up or whatever? You down 100%. To educate, down to give back to the community a little bit, educate some folks?
100%. While I got you, dude, I'll hit it with it as easy as this. Y'all, if you need me, it is 1-615-808-8196. 615-808-8196. It's text only. You can't call it. Just FYI.
Hell yeah, bro. So well, we appreciate it, man. It's cool too, because I've never gotten to like sit down and like hang with you. Like I think I was Ryan Nelson's DD to a Jelly Roll release party in Franklin.
Self-medicated. Yeah.
I think I
saw
you.
You were kind of like in and out.
Yes, we were in and out. Yeah, we were in and out. And then I saw you, I think, at a Mapco one time when I was going on the road with Gary and Charlie. We were heading out somewhere, and I got introduced to you there. And then I think I met you on the golf course. But it's been a blast to sit down, actually talk with you, and down to hang whenever, bro. Because it's cool to see because a lot of those names you were talking about, I'm in those circles now. Years later, it's like you were in there from the beginning. So it's fucking sick. Y'all make sure to check out our boy Matt Wallace, Money Matt, aka Still Matthews. The new song 12 Steps. It is out right now. So y'all go pick it up. Pre-order the shit on iTunes, or order it now that it's out. But of course, spin it everywhere, do all that shit. Be sure to look for tour dates that he'll be out on the road with Jelly Roll on. And of course, shout out to the sponsors as always. Whaletale Media. It's cool you mentioned Saxman Studios. Grady's one of our sponsors. So Saxman Studios out there in Mount Juliet getting shit done. Our friends in the green world, that tasty Delta 8 THC that we have here in Tennessee. Our boys at Trailside CBD. Use the promo code ITR. You get 20% off dabs, edibles, flour, tincture, shit for your dogs. They got it all. Y'all go check them out. And then our buddy that helped make this one possible today, Mr. Mitch Wallace, the digital marketing agency. He's been killing it in the content game. Need help with your business? Go and check him out. It's been the In the Round podcast with our man, Matt Wallace, a.k.a. Still Matthews. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you all next time.